Well, I haven't made you guys any nice project videos or anything. The projects lately haven't lent themselves well to videos, so. Take these dogs for a run and I'll just film a few things around here. Maddie's heifer came to visit us. Hi there. Say hi to the people. No, she does not. So this here, I don't know what this is gonna do. It's been planted 4 years. Where we're walking right now is nice. Over that way is like a gravel bank. It's just rock. So this was Timothy and trefoil. And I see the trefoil is coming back. And so is Taz. So I cut this for dry hay last year. Didn't get a whole heck of a lot off of it, but I mean we almost had no precipitation from April till June here last year, so it kind of grew what it grew on a snow melt. And what grew back I actually put the cows on for lake pasture. I got temporary fence run everywhere. Yeah, all my fence is temporary. Most of it moves every year. But we've got, we'll see how this comes back. I did fertilize it, yeah. I did fertilize it last year. Potassium, little phosphorus based on the last soil sample I had out here. I threw a little nitrogen on it too. I thought it perked the Timothy up, but it'll probably do something a little better than it did last year. Now this stuff here is just old. When I bought this place, the canary grass was 9 feet high back here. I kid you not. It was almost impossible to get. I got a 7-foot bush hog. Almost impossible to get through it. Last year, as dry as it was, we just grazed everything to death back here pretty much. This little field over here has still got some water in it. I put millet in there. It was so dry. Yeah, it was just rough. Just muskeg type of like this stuff. It's like this nice stuff here. Many passes with the disc, it broke it up. And so what's in there now is, I don't know, it's mostly tall fescue, I think, and some other stuff. I didn't even know how it would do. And it doesn't look bad now, but it was so... That's after we packed it last fall. Stuff's not doing too bad. I started with the drill and we were having nothing but trouble, so I mean honestly that's pretty good right here. This spot was double covered and I'm not sure what's there. That's not where the water sits. It's coming in there, but it's a little bit iffy. This stuff here is mostly it's canary grass, and get that red top June grass in there, whatever you call it. But it grazes all right. A canary, as long as it's young, they don't seem to mind it too much. So we've got this piece up here. This isn't bad. This ground down here is actually really nice. There's a few nuggets that the glaciers left us, but for the most part, it's pretty black and a lot of organic matter. There's a few of those in here, but it's not too terrible. This is just willows that grew up in here. The tamarack there that died. But all of this can go. I've been whittling away at the edges of it. It's easiest to get the roots out when it's wet, but I don't want to come back here and tear it up till I let the cows eat it. But if we end up with a bunch of feed this year, well, here's one I was digging out last year when I decided I had had enough of the track on the dozer popping off. That was the I must do something about this side frame business. So a lot of this, if I get the brush out of here and it dries up, I mean, you wouldn't think you'd ever get in here, but most years in July, August, this is pretty much bone dry. It's just the amount of water we got. I ditched this a little bit to get the water going this way. There's kind of a natural ditch here. There's a drainage ditch that runs through here. It was dug straight in the 30s, CCC project. So the spoils from that was thrown on this side. This whole area actually has a bunch of ditches in it. I mean, some of them were natural creeks, drainages, whatever you want to say, but quite a bit of this was drained, and you know, there's not a whole lot of farming here anymore. I mean, there's a fair number of beef around. Nobody fights with trying to keep the low stuff down, water out of the low ground anymore. That's a lot of this was. Guy that built the barn here and had cows here. Herefords, by the way. He was a Hereford man. This was all hayfield or all pasture at one time. You know, it was all open. None of this brush was here then, but that was many years ago. So the drainage plugs up with, you know, how material accumulates, and then pretty soon it gets swampy and whatever. But I get this brush out of here, get this disked up, I can kind of get things to naturally go out of here. Well, I don't know what this camera did to cut you off there, but I got a brush pile started there. Just what we picked out of here, there was willow between where the rye is here. I'm not sure what happened on this edge. Had a little problem on this edge, but that part is pretty good. So I talked about all this in my rye video way last fall, but that was drilled. There's a couple of spots that are just not going to be much because they're just wet, flooded out, but whatever, we'll cut it. This side over here, this is where I broadcast this on. Got a little carried away with the rate and ran myself out of seed. I had enough seed left to do this at 100 pounds to the acre. Apparently the setting on my little cone spreader for the tractor apparently was a little heavy, even, and I followed a recommendation. So best thing to do, I think, is try that again. Set it at less than half the rate and then double cover it. That's what I did with the millet. I figured it was easier to do that. I just went one way and then turned and went the other way, and my guess came out pretty good for that. But this spot right here, used for pasture, is pretty nice. And pretty nice ground. Could add this on to something. Just got to get some more permanent fencing in here and decide if I can get things draining. Like up through there toward the barn, there's just a wet spot right there all the time. It just doesn't come this way. Built up between that field. They cut the hay off of that for years and years. This part was pastured. Guy that was here before me, he had a few cows. That when he first bought it, he had a few cows, and I think they had a horse or two. But there's a bunch of stunted white clover in here. If you let it go, it gets all right, but I always throw the cows on this side first. And we've had 4 dry years in a row. Last year being an absolute drought, so it's not the best. So I figured I'd just do a little walk around the field here while I'm getting these dogs some exercise and have a little video for you. So there you go. We'll next time we're doing something interesting, we'll get the camera out again. Thanks for watching.